Welcome back to another episode of King of Hearts, Queen of Sorrows. This time I'll be talking about, analyzing, reviewing G Gundam episode 29, Running Away, Sai Sai Shi in Love. This has got to be one of my favorite episodes, and I'm not 100% sure why, but I'm a little bit of a romantic person, so that might be the cause. Anyway, this is a pretty exciting episode featuring, well, it's an odd episode. I think that's part of why I like it so much. I like when things go outside the box. So this episode is meant to feature the battle between Neo Denmark's Mermaid Gundam and Neo China's Dragon Gundam, but things don't go quite as planned or quite as one might expect, because instead of it just being a big build-up to a fight or Sai Sai being in danger, or he and the pilot from Neo Denmark having issues beforehand, it turns out that Mermaid Gundam's pilot has a little sister. Her name is Cecile, and Sai Sai and she end up meeting out in the market in Hong Kong. She's being threatened or menaced by some street toughs because they're trying to scam some old man at his Chinese restaurant, and Sai Sai sees them menacing her. He knows that they're doing a scam as well, so they're equally they're bringing equal things to the table, and he goes and fights off these thugs for her. Because it's the right thing to do, and he saves her. So they decide to help out the old man and help run his restaurant. She's the waitress, and Sai she's the cook. We know he has cooking experience from the past. I don't remember exactly why he's so good, but he's a very good cook. And it's kind of a fun thing. He gets to show off some of his skills to her, and this opportunity, or this time together, creates an opportunity for them to get to know each other and for an affection to grow between the two of them. And that kind of sets the course for the rest of the episode, and it also kind of sets up some of the themes that we get to deal with. And I would say the themes that we get to deal with in this episode are maybe like duty versus love, which is a very old storytelling theme, but also it gives us a chance to look at growing up and like what is an adult, what is a man or woman, and like how adults relate to children. And you get to see how adults relate to children in two ways. There's actually multiple approaches taken to it. One is how the thugs treat these kids, and another is how Sai Sai's guardians, the monks, treat him. And I would say to a lesser extent how Hans treats Cecile. But I'm going to get into all of that a little bit more later. So the relationship between Sai Sai, or Chicolin as he calls himself, with Cecile, is less a romance and more a friendship that threatens to become a romance, or that has romance on one side of it, an unrequited romance or love or affection on the other side of it. And I really appreciate that. I think that's a great thing for these young characters to be experiencing, especially this being a kid's show, and Sai Sai being somebody that viewers would have been looking up to potentially, along with Domon and the others, of course. But it's really fresh and fun and energetic, and I love the fact that it's not about love necessarily on the whole, and that there's a lot more to the relationship. It could have just been this innocent experience that they both had, and had they been separated, they would have just went away from it and never really it would have been something warm that they carried with them in their hearts. By the way, I love this. If you're looking at the video version of it, or if you're scrolling through the show notes, maybe there's like an arrow pointing up with writing on either side to a heart, and they're sitting on either side of that, and that's just a great little detail. Again, that's something that didn't need to be there. It's something that that people do in the background work, probably, or maybe it was the director directly, had put in there, and it didn't need to be there, and it's just so awesome. But anyway, I just love how their whole experience, their whole relationship together over these 3 or so days captures like this great spirit of youth and excitement and exuberance. And I'll admit, at the end I thought maybe they should kiss. Then she kissed him on the cheek, and that's for the best, probably. That's a good thing. But anyway, it's funny. G Gundam is a martial arts show, but it highlights these very human, very simple, very non-fighting or combat related emotions and feelings. But not only does it do that, this episode in particular used this like Chinese music. That's the best way I can describe it, like Chinese pop music, to great effect. It felt so fun. It felt so energetic. It really matched things. To me, it matched Sai Sai Shi, and it made me feel, and it kind of matched the Neo Hong Kong, because they should be related. I'm not saying they are deterministically related, but like there's a link between Hong Kong and China, and I think this kind of like leaned into it in these episodes, and I thought that was a lot of fun. But more than that, I think one of the so that did a lot for the episode, and the songs were really cool. But something I appreciated even more than that was how beautiful all the scenery was that we got to explore alongside Chicolene and Cecile. G-Gundam regularly finds itself in these gorgeous settings that are so well drawn, animated, colored, laid out, whatever, that they really make the viewer feel, I think, like they are, being transported to another place. It's like getting to sample other parts of the world, or even, I don't know, beautiful parts of your own world that you may have otherwise ignored or looked over. And I really appreciated that about the show, especially, again, because it's supposed to be this tournament show. It's about combat, it's about fighting, but really it's about so much more than that, because it's about each combatant, each fighter, and they're representing the pride of their nations, but also the hopes of their nations, and each fighter has their own hopes and dreams that they're fighting for, and I think all of that is so well encapsulated in how beautifully the pens and inks and pencils of these creatives working on this could be, like the heights of beauty they could reach. Edging back towards my pointer discussion that there's a divide between adults and children highlighted in this episode, Domoon and Rain stumble upon the two of them, and Domoon, the doofus that he is, the man-child that he is, wants to interrupt what's going on, and Rain sees that there might be something more, and she chides him and says, like, no way, Domoon, we're gonna leave them alone. And that just really tickled me, because I love, they're such a great pair, and the off-model animation of them at that scene really sells it. It's great. Even though the story being told here is about adolescents going through their youth or whatever, like experience something as children, they're not just children, they're not just teens, they're like on the edge of adulthood. I would say, especially given how things were at the time this was made, and how things are, were hundreds of years ago with young people. Like, these two easily could have, met, fallen in love, or gotten arranged marriage, got married, and then started having kids, not long after that. And that's how the human race has survived for thousands of years, millions of years, or whatever. But I just love the series turn, because I want to call her Nicole. Cecile, like, has this honor and this pride, and she shares it with her brother, who's a Gundam fighter, and Hans, by the way, Hans Christian Andersen, Mermaid, Little Mermaid, anyway. And, like, she steps up to Saisaishi and says, like, you will fight my brother. Like, do not go easy on us. Do not take pity on us. We want to be honored, and my brother will, fight you and defeat you in serious combat. He will not take it easy on you. You will not take it easy on him. This is about something more than just winning the championship. It's about winning with pride and with honor and dignity, like I mentioned before. And I really like that. And I don't think that's something that you see too commonly these days. Like, it's all about friendship and fighting, and friendship and somehow getting along and whatnot. And there's maybe a little less emphasis on honor. And that's one thing I love about at least these older, like this and Yu Yu Hakusho. Well, maybe that's a bad example to just pull randomly. But I don't know. It's the stakes to the fights are, if not more real, then I don't know, more fully felt by all the characters involved, which I love. Anyway, as I'm going to wrap it up, I want to stop talking about, emotions and girly things like that, and talk about how cool Mermaid Gundam is. No, but seriously, I didn't remember this fight being very good. I remembered enjoying the relationship, quasi-romance stuff, but, like, Mermaid Gundam is super cool. Hans is a formidable fighter. It transforms into this crazy fish that like gets Dragon Gundam underwater, and he's bashing him, and like it's a really cool, brutal fight. Hans is going all out because his Gundam's going to give out very soon, and it was really cool because it was such a high stakes fight, and like all those emotional things were set up beforehand, but then the actual combat was really good. And I love that at the end of it, Sasaishi admits that like he couldn't beat Hans on his own. Like he couldn't match him, strength for strength. He had to figure out a way to defeat him, and it was through trickery. And we've seen Sasaishi be tricky before, and it's nice to see that coming back. My voice is crap. In my opinion, there's nothing unfair about a hero who uses trickery to win, because in the end, it's who lives and who dies, who tells your story. Sorry, I don't know. I like Hamilton a lot, so sorry about that. Anyway, but yeah, it was a great match. Very exciting. I think I already said that. It was good stuff. I really liked this episode of G Gundam. It's like a sleeper hit in my opinion. I don't know how many other people. I don't know what the wider reception of it would be. Let me know in the comments if you liked it, or if like where it ranks for you. Is it in the highs and the lows? Because to me it was really excellent. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there, or start wrapping it up there. You can see more of my work on mjmunoz.com. If you enjoy what I'm doing and you want to help me do more, you can support me at coffee.com/mjmunoz, so I can afford more stuff. Anyway, I keep changing my mind about how I'm going to do things. I might split this YouTube channel into separate YouTube channels to talk about anime, tokusatsu, comics. I might do 3 altogether. Have this one stay probably as my anime one, and then split off or maybe my I don't know. We'll have to see what happens in the future. But if you want, you can comment and weigh in on that. And other than that, you can check out all my work in the cards here. I've got the whole thing of Kingdom Hearts Queen of Sorrows, the playlist, as well as me talking about tokusatsu. And please help me out by sharing and give me a thumbs up. And that's it. So go out there, folks, and grasp happiness.